Great. So thank you all for coming to this war game session. I'm going to start out with a couple of introductions. First of all, we have some of us from the Water for Food Global Institute. That's myself, Kate, Nick Brozovich, Ellen Emanuel, and Justin Gibson. We will be your mentors today at the individual tables. We also have a team from the National Strategic Research Institute, NSRI. We have Chris Luther and Tracy Hancock. So what we're doing today is really just a demo of a game that the folks at NSRI developed. So this is a really abbreviated version of a war game that would usually last a couple of hours. So this is just really a snapshot of their war game, and that's just one part of what they do at NSRI. So I'm going to pass it over to Chris to tell us a little bit about their institute, and then we'll get to playing the game.
All right, thanks, Kate. You want to go to the Yep. All right, good afternoon, everybody. As Kate said, my name is Chris Luther, and this is Tracy Hancock over here. We're with the National Strategic Research Institute up in Omaha. And who are we and why are we here presenting this war game to you? Well, NSRI is a university-affiliated research center established by the Department of Defense. There's 13 of them across the country, and we have one here at Nebraska, and that's NSRI. We're in some kind of in a little bit of an elite company there with some other colleges out there like MIT. But anyway, the DoD establishes UARCs to maintain and nurture unique research and development capabilities that the DoD needs, and that maybe nobody else really needs. So they're necessary capabilities that the country needs to support defense. And each UARC out there has a different mission. Our mission is focused on combating weapons of mass destruction. And our sponsor is U.S. Strategic Command up at Offutt Air Force Base, just south of Omaha. And within that mission, we do five specific things. We focus on nuclear detection and forensics, detection of chemical and biological weapons, defense against WMD, consequence management, and U.S. STRATCOM mission-related requirements, and that usually drives at things like space law, cyber law, international telecommunications law, those kinds of things. So probably doesn't make any sense why we're here at this point, so let me further clarify that. One of the capabilities or services that we provide in our research is academic wargaming. NSRI employs academic wargaming as a novel research tool to learn unique aspects of complex and competitive situations. By using role-playing, it allows participants to gather unique insights that aren't necessarily available through more traditional methods like discussion, brainstorming, or historical precedents. So it allows participants to kind of understand a little more of the variables to projected courses of action. What are the unintended consequences? So it allows someone to be better informed when it comes to making decisions. So that's a little bit of the background on our academic wargaming. So a couple months ago, the political science department here at Lincoln asked us to develop a war game on this topic for something called the Hendricks Symposium that happened a few weeks ago, and we made it for that. And today you're going to get a little demo of that. So the type of game you're going to see today is a type of military war game called a matrix game, and that just means there's not a lot of rules. The only rule is that you have to do something that's within the realm of the possible. It has to be something that's plausible. Okay. And Kate's going to give you some background information, and you're going to have table mentors that are going to give you some more specifics on this game. But the gist of our game here is that you're going to put forth moves, and the success of your move and the degree to which it is effective will be determined by structured argument. So you'll put forth some sort of a move, and you have to support it by saying, well, why do you think it will be successful? So we generally ask that you put forth up to 3 reasons on why you think it will be successful. And then we'll come together as an audit, as a group, and talk about it and see, well, what do you guys think? Do you think that this team's move is likely to happen? Do you think it's highly likely, possible, whatever? And we'll kind of assign it a probability, and we'll roll dice. I have dice in my pocket, and you know, it brings in the fog of war, as we like to call it. And sometimes you'll be successful, and sometimes you won't. So it just kind of brings in the uncertainties of the world. So that's kind of the gist of the Matrix game. So with that said, I'll hand it over to Kate, and she'll give you a little more background information on the game.
Great, thanks, Chris. All right, so as Chris said, this is a game that's focused on a conflict over scarce water and food resources. So each of you on our different team, you should have a colored dot on by now that matches your team color. We have the government of Atropia, federal government of Limeria, a tribe, and then the Limerian Liberation Front. So each team has to support resources. Those are the cards on your table. As I said, each of you will have a mentor who will be walking you through the game. At the end, each team has a couple of objectives that you have to work towards, and that's how we'll determine who wins the game, who best accomplishes those objectives. So let's set the scene here. The year is 2030, and we are in a country called Limeria. There's a pretty bad drought right now. We haven't had any meaningful rainfall for about 5 months. This whole region is the country of Limeria. So the young federal government of Limeria is struggling to establish functioning state structures against a background of serious drought and armed resistance by the Limerian Liberation Front. Some years ago, the neighboring country of Atropia, on the right, went to war with Limeria. Atropia lost some land to Limeria, and that land is currently occupied by a small group of ethnic Atropians. They're in this region, and they have formed a militant group called the Limerian Liberation Front. They are opposed to the rule of the federal government of Limeria. Surrounded by land occupied by the LLF are a group of nomadic tribes, also in the region. The drought is so severe that formal mechanisms to cope with drought are unavailable. Herders have been selling more livestock than usual and at lower prices, and members of the LLF and the tribe have been fleeing the situation to a refugee camp on the border of Limeria and Atropia. The government of Atropia is very concerned that a refugee crisis might evolve if the drought continues. So that's the background. What we're going to do is we're going to do a really quick round 0 to get us comfortable with the game mechanics. So what we're going to do is your mentors are going to take a couple minutes, talk you through your resources and your 3 objectives. Then we'll go in order of LLF, FGL, Atropia Tribe, and the mentor will stand up and walk you through a move. That involves a press release, a strategic action, and possibly a resource exchange. So we'll do that in the next 10 minutes or so, and then we'll get into a full-blown round 1 where you guys are in the driver's seat. So mentors, take a couple minutes, walk your team through, and then we'll get started with round 0.
Our land to reach the tribe. We would like to see the tribe come to us for help. We're also suffering from the drought and see no reason why we shouldn't take any grain and water transported by the FGL through our territory. So that's our press release. Our strategic action is we will deploy a force to the border to stop any attempt by the FGL to pass through our territory. And our resource exchanges are none at this time.
Okay, at this point, we would come together as a group, and we will come together as a group, to talk about whether or not that move was successful. Now, since it's round 1 and the first thing, there's not a lot to preclude it from being successful. So the LLF has decided to take its security force and deploy it to the border, and you have the water to support that move. So does anybody see any reason that the LLF would not be able to deploy its security force within its territory? I think that's pretty much a sure thing. We'll call that 100%. So That is a successful strategic move. So your security force has now moved up to the border here. And if you didn't get it, this is the country of Lemuria. And the southern part is controlled by the LLF, and they have now moved their security force to that border. So let's go to the next team.
All right, so the press release for the federal government of Lemuria. We know that the tribes within our country are suffering due to a lack of grain and water. Our resources are scarce, but we are willing to aid the good people of our country's nomadic tribes to continue our long-standing relationship of goodwill. We are aware of threats by the LLF to prevent our trade with the tribe, but we do not recognize the LLF's claim to our country's land. We will be sending a convoy with grain and water to the tribe. Our strategic action is to provide aid to the tribe in return for livestock, accompanied by a security force. And our resource exchange is to give 2 grain and 2 water to the tribe in return for 1 livestock.
Okay, so I hear that the FGL is going to go visit the tribe and drop off some resources with their convoy. And now I did not hear any use of a security force. Oh, you're going to use your security force. Okay, so they're going to use their. So this is a foreign the actual government. They got a military. We're calling it the security force, and they've got a military force here, but they're kind of a rebel group. So their military force, for all practical purposes, we'll call them better equipped and better trained than the LLF. So we can see if we go to the map here. That the FGL is going to come down south to go to the tribe, and they're going to have to meet up with the LLF forces. So, I'm predicting a little engagement here. What do you guys think? The let's call it the objective of getting to the tribe. So we got a well-trained security force against a less one. I would give them, You want to go with almost certainly 91%? Anybody else have any thoughts? I would say very likely. There's always the fog of war. I like very likely. 74. Okay. So we're going to roll. We're going to have these guys roll some dice here, and they got to roll at least. They got to roll under a 12 or a 12 for it to be successful. So we got 3 dice. Obviously, you got 3 through 18. Roll them all at once. Roll them all at once. Oh, 12. So they were successful. Okay. Nice job. Okay. Did one fall on the... Oh, there it is. Okay, so we'll go ahead and do that resource exchange. And now, Atropia, you're going to... as soon as these guys do this little exchange... All right, Atropia, let's hear your move.
All right, we hope for peace among our neighbors, and we would like to continue to purchase livestock from our partners in the FGL and or the LLF. However, we are sympathetic to the cause of ethnic Atropians in the LLF. For our strategic action here, we have signed an agreement with the intent to trade livestock with the LLF as soon as they can acquire livestock from the tribe, and we will not be doing a resource exchange at this time.
Okay, so you're signing a letter of intent to buy livestock from your friends in the LLF when they get livestock.
Yeah, when they get it.
When they get livestock. Okay. So I would say that that's pretty much there's nothing that would preclude that. No need to roll dice. That's pretty straight up. So, okay, you guys have signed a letter of intent. Let's go to the tribe here.
Okay, our press release is that we are in desperate need of food and water. We need aid to sustain our people and our livestock. We are grateful to the FGL for offering to give us grain and water in return for livestock that we are unable to support by ourselves. We have no strategic action at this time, and we have already completed the resource exchange. We sent 1 livestock to FGL in return for 2 grain and 2 water.
All right. So that was one round. So this was just a very, very quick demo. There's a few more details that your team mentors will go over, but we just wanted to give you a quick introduction to the game, a hands-on introduction to the game. So I'll turn it back over to Kate here to give you a few more details.
Okay. All right. So real quick. So now we're going to jump into the real round 1. Yes. Okay. So they're going to come around and collect resources and do some accounting.
So what we just did was we heard everybody's move, and then we had to do a little bit of transaction there with the officials of the game. We're called the white cell or the adjudication cell, what have you, but we go around and we cash out all the cards. So if you were supporting your population during the round, we're going to collect those during this period. Now, also during this period, the white cell will come up with a little bit of a narrative of what has happening and what is happening based on the move. So I have a little narrative to brief you guys, a little scenario update for when we roll as we roll into round 1 here. So, and the narrative goes like this. So the drought continues to generally progress in the region. There has been a little bit of rainfall in a few areas. The tribe has received a little bit, and Atropia has received a little bit. So that's been a little bit of a respite for them. Okay. Due to the drought, the federal government has directed that no more than 3 units of water be taken from a well in the country. You've put out water restriction. Sorry, not the FGL. You've directed, since you claim ownership of the whole country, that all the wells in your country, nobody's to take more than 3 units of water from a well. Okay. The LLF put troops on the border, and because they put troops on the border and they had an engagement, that has increased tensions in the country. And because the LLF failed at their attempt to intercept the FGL, a rogue element of the LLF got a little desperate, and they stole one of the tribe's livestock. And so they've got a unit of livestock now because they were getting desperate. So that's one of those fog of war moves from the white cell there. So that's your little scenario update as we move into round 1. So I will hand it back over to Kate to give a few more details.
Thank you. All right, so this round is going to be a little bit different in that people who aren't the mentors are supposed to be leading it this time. So the way this will work, we'll have 10 minutes for the teams to negotiate. You can go talk to the other teams, assess your resources, and make your move. So your move will be your press release, your strategic action, and resource exchange. Your mentor will kind of get consensus and write that down. Then each team will have a couple of minutes to report out on their move. And then after that, we'll have another 10 minutes for the white cell to do the allocation again and a little bit more strategy. All right, any questions? Okay, 10 minutes. Should we put a